Hi students, a very good afternoon to all of you students. I hope you must be watching all my videos which I have been uploading from time to time regarding the latest syllabus of UGC NET NTA in English literature. My students have already been watching me live in my live classes, and those students who wish to join, they may get in touch with me so that they may not further miss my classes. Today I am here to give you a brief description about the cultural studies, which is a new subject, a new unit introduced by the UGC NET. In order to understand the term cultural studies in literature, we have to understand the meaning of the term culture. What is culture, students? It is nothing but a set of perspectives shared by a group of people and which is reflected. हम क्या करते हैं बच्चों? हम लोग शेयर करते हैं, अपने पर्सपेक्टिव्स को शेयर करते हैं एक दूसरे के ग्रुप्स में, साथ में, and those sharing which is reflected in our actions, in our relationships with each other, in each other communities and even artifacts. यही कल्चर होता है. And perspectives क्या होता है? Perspectives can be described or defined or categorized in 4 different sections. पहला, perceptions. How we experience the world, how we are going to experience, how we get and interpret the informations which we are getting. कहते हैं ना कि आपका perception इस चीज के लिए क्या है, तो हम कहते हैं भाई मेरा perception अच्छा है, मेरा नहीं अच्छा है. What we see, what we ignore, what we notice, or what we disregard. So these all comes under the topic, the heading perceptions. Then beliefs, what we think is true or false. जो हम सोचते हैं क्या वो सच है या गलत है, ये हमारा विश्वास है, ये बिलीफ है. The third, values, what we feel is right or wrong, good or bad, ये हमारा अपना है, ये गलत है, ये सही है, ये अच्छा है, ये बुरा है. This comes with values. And the last, attitude, how we are reacting, how we are acting, that is based on our interpretations. So, in short, perspectives can be described or categorized in 4 sections: perceptions, beliefs, values, and attitude. Cultural studies is something which we can say an interdisciplinary field of studies, and this interdisciplinary field of studies draws from many different subject areas. बहुत सारे subject areas से हम इसको draw करते हैं, जैसे sociology, anthropology, political science, history, and others. It is the study of the ways in which culture is constructed. ये वो पढ़ाई का तरीका है जिसमें कल्चर को हम कंस्ट्रक्ट करते हैं. It is the study of the ways in which culture is constructed and even organized, and the ways in which it evolves and changes over time. कल्चर कभी भी एक समय पे एक जैसा नहीं होता है. And today is the time when literature students need to know about cultural studies. And what are the reasons that we should know what is cultural studies? पहला, कि cultural studies is partly responsible for the shape of the syllabus in many English departments in the 21st century. एक तो ये रीजन है कि हमें पढ़ना है. And the second reason why cultural studies is even more relevant to literature students is that it has been at the forefront now of developing a distinctive approach to text. It is basically developing a different type of approach to the text, and those texts are interdisciplinary, self-consciously theoretical, and even politicized. So, the cultural studies approach has been imported into literary criticism too. Now, I'll try to give you a brief description of the history of cultural studies in very simple language so that maximum students who are watching me here may be able to understand and they should not feel scared of this unit which I am giving you this video of the starting of this unit. My students will get the the hard copy also, and it will all be taught in my live lectures too. So the origins of the cultural studies, this can be traced back to the 1950s, and a group of three academics, जिसको कह सकते हैं trio, TRIO, who are working in the British universities, and this group, a trio, are Richard Hoggart, E.P. Thompson, and Raymond Williams. All are big names. The founding fathers of British cultural studies. They sought to recover the working class history and culture. Their work was given importance. Why? Because in the post-war period, working class traditions and culture, they were under the threat, and they were under the threat from a burgeoning mass media and culture industry that was increasingly transnational and Americanized. And so, to counter this development, Hoggart founded the Center for Contemporary Cultural Studies at Birmingham University, 1964. Initially, under the directorship of Hoggart and then the British West Indian critic, आपने पढ़ा होगा एमए इंग्लिश में, Stuart Hall, the center became an institutional base for academics keen to offer critiques of the contemporary British culture. Throughout the 60s and 70s, 60 और 70 के दशक में, it exerted a powerful influence on the British academic and cultural life. And it is worth noting that the work produced by the then was itself influenced by a number of continental critics. Alongside, we can also name Barthes, B-A-R-T-H-E-S, whose work Mythologies, published in 1957, and the work of Michael Foucault, Marxist critical thinking, continued to have a defining influence in this field. And from the late 60s onwards, the British cultural studies began to move from a preoccupation with class towards the issues of gender, towards the issues of sexuality, race, and ethnicity. The broadening of range was a response to a social struggles and the political movements of the 60s and 70s. We can say, for example, women's rights, the gay liberation, the struggle for the racial equality, and even, yes, the post-colonial politics. Since the 70s, cultural studies has become increasingly trending with new departments, with new courses, new journals, criticism appearing in the United States, Latin America, Asia, Africa, Europe, and Australia. This field, that is cultural studies, will be of particular interest to students of literature who are actually keen to connect the literary art to the other forms of the cultural production in relation to questions of politics and power. Cultural studies students is actually difficult to define because it incorporates a range of critical practices, and these critical practices that cross the disciplinary boundaries. यही इसमें प्रॉब्लम है. The cultural studies approach can be found in the literary films, media studies, sociology, politics, history, geography, anthropology, the study of different racial ethnic groups, as well as, yes, women studies, lesbian studies, gay studies. And in addition to appearing in this variety of subject areas, cultural studies is also associated with a wide range of critical theories, and these critical theories includes, which you must have read also in your MA examination and while preparing for this exam, like Marxism, feminism, post-colonialism, psychoanalysis, structuralism, post-structuralism, etc. And to define briefly in a very easy language, cultural studies is an innovative interdisciplinary field of research and teaching that investigates the ways in which किस प्रकार से culture creates and transforms individual experiences. किस प्रकार से ये जो वर्ड कल्चर है ये क्रिएट करता है, ट्रांसफॉर्म करता है, बदलता है हर एक दूसरे के इंडिविजुअल एक्सपीरियंसेस को, एवरीडे लाइफ, social relations and power. And it also combines the strengths of the social sciences, the humanities, the cultural studies also draws on the methods and the theories from literary studies, sociology, communication studies, history, and even economics. अब हमें यह जानना है बच्चों कि हमें पढ़ना क्या है, what we actually need to study. This is $100 question. So students, nothing to worry because this has been introduced for the first time. So it is called hit and trial method. Hit and trial का मतलब होता है कि हम ठीक है अच्छे से पढ़ते हैं, इस बार देखते हैं कि क्या वो पूछते हैं, because we don't know that what type of questions they are going to ask. We will prepare the best, let them ask. एक बार सिस्टम बन जाएगा, then the next time the students will be more comfortable. So अब हमें पढ़ना क्या है? Literary and cultural studies give you access to historical and emergent traditions of literature, culture, and even thought. And through the critical interpretation and dialogue, we can see how language mediated through the text arranges and allows different ways of knowing and living. किस प्रकार से वो अरेंज करता है और डिफरेंट वेज कि हम कैसे जाने और कैसे रहें. And in this process, you will read some of the greatest thinkers in the English language. Cultural studies works centrally with many of the theories of interpretation and response that have developed in the literary studies. But cultural studies and theory will actually deploy these theories to understand the non-literary modes of cultural production. And what are these non-literary modes of cultural production? Music, art, television, fashion, advertising, visual culture, etc. Paying special attention to any given cultural modes in a particular social, historical, sexual, or economic context. So, students, those whoever watching my video on this cultural studies, unit 7, which is the latest to be put in the new syllabus, don't worry for anything. Just listen to this lecture once and twice or thrice, and you will actually see that how smoothly and very simply I have given you a brief introduction of this topic where the students are having a lot of problems, a lot of confusions. So once again, I would advise you that those students who are targeting the 2019 exam may get my live classes, which is a period of 4 months, and there are 2 slots also. One is in the afternoon and was in the evening. So those students who want to join my new batch or the old batch, because पिछले batch may be hardly there are 10 days, so you will get all the video recordings of the 10 days and you can join from tomorrow onwards. Thank you so much, students.